What's going on, guys? C0 Media here, filming another vlog out of my daily. So I wanted to talk about my little trip to Chicago this past weekend. The main reason I went to Chicago was because I had few friends, people coming in from Tokyo, Japan, visiting the town, the windy city of Chicago. So I said, yeah, why not? I'll meet up with them. I'm only about 4 hours away, if you drove, that is. So initially I was thinking about taking my daily, whether the Acura TSX or the Tacoma that I'm driving right now. But as the time went on, I got on Facebook, I got on Instagram and started doing some research on what kind of car shows were going down in Chicago. And surprisingly, there were a lot of car shows going on. So long story short, I ended up taking the Evo to Chicago. So I drove down on Friday night in the Evo, spent the night, and Saturday morning I drove down to Chicago Nightlights car show. At the time there was a chance of thunderstorm for the whole weekend, but it turned out to be a beautiful day, and I was just blown away by the amount of JDM cars that was at the car show. There were like orange Nissan Silvia S15 that showed up, which is super rare here in the US. I think I saw R33 GTR or GTRS that was leaving the show as I pulled in. I also met a few car guys. One of the guys was Bart. He had the Topo 240SX Burt, which is super nice, right-hand drive, and it was so JDM. He had the chrome wheels that looked like something you would see at a drift event right out in Japan. This is the kind of cars I see when I go to car shows in Japan, and I was just blown away. There was also a white Acura Integra that was done in Mugen style in Japanese, which I really liked. I'm not exactly a Honda guy, but that was just super clean Acura Integra Type R that you'll never see these days. I also saw a white Evo 10, Evo X with Walkmeister wheels, which I love. Those are great wheels that I would love to put on my Evo, but it's like $4,000-$5,000 just for the rims. So some of you Chicago guys are just straight up balling out. At the car show there was also a Lamborghini LP610 Huracan or Huracan, however you say it, which I got to rev, and it sounded amazing for a car that's stock. There are, you know, on sports cars there's different modes like sport, comfort, and on the LP610 there's a mode called Corsa, and it opens up the electric valves in the exhaust. And if you haven't seen the video of me revving the car, check it out because the car sounds amazing, and I would love to take one of these out on the track someday. Because it was supposed to thunderstorm on Saturday, or at least that's what the forecast said, I wasn't expecting that big of a turnout, but I saw so many cool cars, and I think Chicago Nightlights did a great job setting the event. There was a DJ out there, there was a bunch of boosters giving away stuff. I love going to these car shows out of state because I get to see cars that I have never seen before. I get to see the car culture that's present in that city. Every city has different style when it comes to modding the cars, and I saw that right away as I pulled into the Chicago car show. So that was Saturday. Great show, great event. It didn't rain and I had an awesome time. I met some of you, my subscribers. I had people yelling C0 as I was driving in, so that was kind of cool. So on Sunday I was supposed to go to the Toge Factory car show in the morning. Toge Factory is a car shop out in Chicago who works on a lot of JDM cars, but mostly Nissan Focus from what I have noticed. And sorry for the bad news, guys, but I'm actually a Nissan guy in heart. I grew up loving the R32s, R33s, 34s, GTRs. Those are the cars I saw when I was walking to school growing up in Tokyo, and those are the cars I would love to own someday. So I love Nissans more than Mitsubishis any day. Of course I love my Evo, but when it comes to Skylines and GTRs, I'm all over it. So Toge Factory, even though I live outside of Chicago, I don't even live in Illinois, I have known about the show. So I was super excited to go to this Toge Factory show, but because the main reason why I went to Chicago was to see my friends I ended up being out until like 6 a.m. on Saturday morning, so I didn't wake up in time to go to Toge Factory car show. It's very unfortunate that I didn't get to go to the car show because I hear good things about the shop. I hear good things about people who work at the shop. By the way, I met one of the shop owner, Nick's girlfriend, at the backstage at an event on Saturday night, so I really wanted to meet this guy Nick as well. But I'll make it out there at the Toge Factory, to the shop, to the car show one of these days, because I would love to meet these guys. And so because I missed the Toge Factory show, I went straight to Import Face Off, which was more towards south of Chicago. So I'm sure you have all heard of Import Face Off. It's a car show, but they also have drag cars, drag events at the same time. So I showed up and I had a good time. There were a few 2.5 RS coupes that were done right, which I loved. There was also a Liberty Walk GTR, which was the very first one I've seen here in the US. I've seen tons of them in Japan at the Liberty Walk shop, as well as Japanese auto salon, Tokyo Auto Salon, every year in the beginning of the year. But this was the first time I've seen a Liberty Walk GTR here in the US, so that was a cool experience. And again, I met a few other Evo owners. I spotted Angry Evo 8 on the way home, trailering his race car on the trailer, which was kind of cool. So, but here's the news. So I took the Evo to Chicago and I thought about this for a long time. My Evo is not a daily, it's pretty much a race car at this point. And when you make 500 horsepower, when you double the horsepower of the car from factory, you lose that reliability. And of course, after I was done with Import Face Off, headed home to Detroit, I did a little pull on the highway on ramp and my Evo gives out. At first it felt like injectors were clogged or spark plugs were going bad, because I was misfiring up top around 8,000 RPM. And by the way, my car revs up to 8,300 RPM. So it was Sunday night at 6 p.m. or 5 p.m, almost 6 p.m. So first thing I do is, oh my god, where am I gonna get new spark plugs? Or where am I gonna get new coils for the Evo? It's almost 6 p.m. So I just Google Advance Auto real quick and show up at the local Advance Auto. I pick up new coils, new spark plugs, just in case something went horribly wrong. So I installed everything back in the car, new coils, new plugs, and the car was still misfiring. It was still running on 3 cylinders. At this time, I'm thinking, oh my god, what else could have possibly gone wrong? So I'm thinking injectors, but it seems like the car was getting fuel, and when I started the car with the spark plugs out of the car, it was getting spark as well. At this point, I'm thinking, all right, maybe cam angle sensor. So luckily, I went to local O'Reilly's, which was open till 9 p.m. and they had cam angle sensor in stock. So I installed that. Nothing, still running on 3 cylinders. And at this point, I am lost as to what's going on. I have been diagnosing this car for like 2.5 hours. So I said, you know what, compression tester, let's get a compression tester and compression test my cylinder. So I put it in cylinder 1, nothing, zero compression. So I'm like, all right, well, this compression tester is broken because I'm getting zero compression. And little do I know that cylinder 1 has zero compression because it has no compression. So I put the compression tester in cylinder 2, cylinder 3, cylinder 4, all got 160 psi, no problems. But I put it back in cylinder 1, no compression. So right there and then I wasn't sure what's going on. Is it bent valves? Did I float the valves? Is it the springs? But I had to get home to Detroit. That was 4 hours from home. Long story short, I made it back home, and I now have a broken Evo that I have to tear apart and completely rebuild the head, if not the block. It's just what happens to these cars. No matter how well you build them, when you double and triple the horsepower, something's just gonna give out eventually, and you're just gonna have to freshly rebuild everything. Oh well, that's just another project on my list. I got the cafe, I got the Tacoma, I got the Evo, I got the house to finish. So I'm very busy nowadays. But long story short, I had an awesome weekend in Chicago. I am very surprised by JDM cars out there. I saw so many right-hand drive cars that I haven't seen in a while. There was also a AE86 with LS motor in it, which was pretty cool. It's gonna be a blast to drive. I'm sure he gets no traction because AE86, from my knowledge, comes with tires narrower than like 200 west in the rear. So I don't know how this guy's getting traction, but it's all about having fun. Next weekend coming up is actually Grid Life, which is held on the west side of Michigan, and I'm gonna try to make it out. As you know now, my Evo won't be racing unless it's something simple that's causing my cylinder to misfire and with zero compression, but I doubt it. If I make it out there, it's because I want to spectate, not because I'm gonna be racing. I'll post this up on Instagram and let you guys know so I can hang out and, you know, talk about cars. So that's about it. That was my weekend. It was pretty busy, exhausting, but I had a great time. It was good meeting some of you, and I will keep you updated on some of the car shows I'll be attending in the future on my Instagram and on my Facebook. And if you want to check out some of the pictures that I took over the weekend, go to my Facebook. The Facebook link is in the description below. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.